Hi, and welcome to my channel in 2024. I thought my first video of 2024 would be about what my intentions are for the garden for the coming year, reflect back on the key takeaways that I had and some realizations, and come up with a plan for the way forward as we move through the year. So this winter, I haven't done any videos for the last couple of months because it's just been so wet. We have had a very wet winter here in the UK, and walking on any part of the garden is really squelchy and muddy. And doing work on any of the beds, unless you are standing on something that is solid, like a path, then really it's not worth making any effort doing anything. So I haven't really done anything in the garden for the last couple of months. But to start with, I have 3 key takeaways from last year in my garden. The first one is staking and supporting my plants is a little bit hit and miss. In my mind, I have been trying to design something more permanent for the structure, and I kind of want metal stakes, support system that is there that will be both useful for putting protective fleece over it as well as supporting the plant. So I don't want to have 2 systems that I use, one for creating protection for the winter and then another system for protecting or staking in the summer. But because I'm thinking that, I'm completely overthinking it and just never doing anything. And I don't really want to pay an awful lot of money for it either. And I keep Googling and finding lots of things, but it all just ends up being quite pricey because of the number of stakes that I will need. So, but I do need to do something. So I have a plan, and I'm hoping to start that in the next couple of days, now that we might have some dry days. So I might be getting progress on that. So watch out for some upcoming videos on that. The next thing I want to focus on is more dried flowers. I actually made some money selling some of my dried flowers in the autumn. I've got some of the honesty stems behind me still. But I've decided, whilst I always thought I didn't really like dried flowers, they were very 70s, dust gatherers, whatever, I actually really enjoyed making some dried flower wreaths, and I made some money. So that money paid for the seeds. So I want to focus in the cutting patch more on some dried flowers as well as having flowers for the house. I want to have more flowers that I can dry and perhaps sell again in the autumn. So that's another thing I want to focus on in the cutting garden. And the final thing is that whilst I have enjoyed the cutting garden so much, and what that means is that I've ignored the rest of my garden, mainly because the cutting garden, I know what's going in it, I'm in control of it, I know how the things need to be handled, and there's no real problem with where anything gets put. It just, where there's a space, I can plant some more in. The rest of the garden is a garden I inherited 12 years ago now, so I should take responsibility and ownership for it. But it's a garden that I inherited, and I don't really know what a lot of the plants are officially. I mean, I have a general idea of what they are. I know they're rhododendrons. I know that there's some roses, some peonies, and other perennials, but I don't really know what they are, so I haven't really thought about it. And I had a sudden realization today, and I don't know why I hadn't thought about it before, but everything seems to be in the wrong place. I suddenly realized the main perennial border that the house looks out onto is really north facing. the majority of it is north facing. But because the garden is really quite sunny in general, I always think of that as a sunny border. So I'm desperately trying to put in dahlias, I've put in zinnias, cosmos. Nothing really works. It's because it's north facing, so it gets a lot of shade. And I've just never really thought about that until today. So that was suddenly an enlightened moment. And I have another border which I call the shrubbery, which completely is neglected. But basically, it's got lots of shrubs. It's the back of the house, but that's mainly shrubs. It's always been shrubs, and it kind of I've let it do its own thing, other than cutting back when needed. And I realised that's the sunniest border I have in the garden. My intention was initially, before I thought about where the sunshine was, was to try and get more of the cutting garden flowers into the main garden, because last year, even though it was a wet and miserable summer for the main part, the cutting patch was always so vibrant and colourful, and everywhere else there was nothing flowering. So I thought I need to bring more into it. So my intention was simply to sow more flowers and plant them more out into the rest of the garden. But I realised that most of those cutting flowers are not going to work well in the perennial border, but they would work well in the shrubbery. But I can't fit them in because there's shrubs there. So I'm going to try and have a bit of a switcheroo and move things around so that I have the front garden will be more classic and elegant and calming, with more greenery, and as I say, possibly more shrubs. Although I think the shrubs that we've already got are too big to move. But I'll see what I can do. And then the shrubbery, which absolutely needs a complete overhaul because it is just completely full of brambles, and see whether I can get some colour there and improve things. My intention for this year is to improve the existing beds a bit more, make them more flower garden-like. And this channel will include some of the work that I do in that, along with the cutting garden that we've got. And I'm telling you this to make you my accountability partner, to make sure I do it, to make sure I don't get so overwhelmed with the existing garden that I just ignore it, which is what's happened previously, and to make something beautiful out of what is, at the moment, a bit of a pig's ear. So they're my goals for the year. What are your goals for your garden in the coming year? Let me know in the comments below, and maybe we can support each other in creating beautiful, sustainable gardens that are alive with colour throughout the seasons.